Okay, we're going to continue on in our Father's Word today. This is Revelation 8, verse 1. And when he had opened the seventh seal, there was silence in heaven for about the space of a half an hour. And I saw the seven angels which stood before God, and to them were given seven trumpets. And another angel came and stood at the altar, having a golden censer. And there was given unto him much incense, that he should offer it with prayers of all saints upon the golden altar, which was before the throne. And the smoke of the incense, which came with the prayers of the saints, ascended up before God out of the angel's hand. And the angel took the censer, and filled it with fire of the altar, and cast it into the earth. And there were voices, and thunderings, and lightning, and an earthquake. And the seven angels, which had the seven trumpets, prepared themselves to sound. The first angel sounded, and there followed hail and fire mingled with blood, and they were cast upon the earth. And the third part of the trees were burned up, and all green grass was burned up. And the second angel sounded, and it were a great mountain burning with fire, cast into the sea. And the third part of the sea became blood, and the third part of the creatures which were in the sea and had life died, and the third part of the ships were destroyed. And the third angel sounded, and there fell a great star from heaven, burning as if it were a lamp, and it fell upon a third part of the rivers, and upon the fountains of water. And the name of the star was called Wormwood. Now, over in Russia, in the Ukraine, you got Chernobyl, and Chernobyl in Russian means wormwood. And a third part of the waters became wormwood, and many men died of the waters, because they were made bitter. And the fourth angel sounded, and a third part of the sun was smitten, and a third part of the moon, and a third part of the stars. So as the third part of them was darkened, and the day shone not for a third part of it, and the night likewise. And I beheld, and I heard an angel flying through the midst of heaven, saying with a loud voice, Woe, woe, woe to the inhabitants of the earth, by reason of the other voices of the trumpets of the three angels, which are yet to sound. Now this is Revelation 9. Now we started out with a 7-year tribulation, and that tribulation was cut to time plus times plus halftime. So that's 3.5 years, 42 full moons. All God's prophecies involving Satan are of the moon. So this is Revelation 9. This tells you the time was reduced to the time of the locust. 5 full moons. The 5 full moons, May, June, July, August, September. Not necessarily those months, but the time of the locust. The locust is a grasshopper. That tells you twice here in Revelation 9 that the time is reduced by Jesus for the elect's sake. That's Mark 13. And the fifth angel sounded, and I saw a star fall from heaven unto the earth. And to him was given the key of the bottomless pit. And he opened the bottomless pit, and there arose a smoke out of the pit, as the smoke of a great furnace. And the sun had the air were darkened by reason of the smoke of the pit. There came out of the smoke locusts upon the earth, and unto them was given power, as the scorpions of the earth have power. And it was commanded them that they should not hurt the grass of the earth, neither any green thing, neither any tree, but only those men which have not the seal of God in their foreheads. So they worship Satan. They don't love God. To them it was given that they should not kill them, but they should be tormented for 5 months. And their torment was as the torment of a scorpion, which he striketh a man. And in those days shall men seek death, and shall not find it, and shall desire to die, and death shall flee from them. And the shapes of the locusts were like unto horses prepared unto battle, and on their heads were as crowns like gold, and their faces were the faces of men, and they had hair as the hair of women, and their teeth were as the teeth of lions, and they had breastplates, as it were breastplates of iron, and the sound of their wings was the sound of many chariots, horses running into battle. And they had tails like unto scorpions, and there were stings in their tails, and their power was to hurt men. Tells you again, 5 full moons, 5 months, 29.51 days full moon to full moon, times 5 is 147.65 days of Antichrist. 666, 5 full moons of the fake Jesus. He's coming to the Dome of the Rock, the synagogue of Satan, the Holy of Holies, the holiest place in the whole universe, God's favorite place, Jerusalem, the Temple Mount, the synagogue of Satan, right there, the Dome of the Rock, where Abraham was going to sacrifice Isaac, but God sent a ram in the thicket instead. So Isaac wasn't killed. Abraham was going to kill Isaac because God told him to. But God was testing Abraham, and God sent the ram in the thicket instead. And they had a king over them, which is an angel of the bottomless pit, whose name in the Hebrew is Babdon, but in the Greek hath his name Apollyon. Apollyon in the Greek, Babdon in the Hebrew means destroyer. Satan comes to deceive the fake Jesus. He's going to look like Jesus. He's going to act like Jesus. But he's going to have the voice of a dragon. So don't be fooled by the fake Jesus. One woe is past, and behold, there come 2 woes more hereafter. And the 6th angel sounded, and I heard a voice from the 4 horns of the golden altar, which is before God, saying to the 6th angel, which had the trumpet, loose the 4 angels, which are bound in the great river Euphrates. And the 4 angels were loosed, which were prepared for an hour and a day, and a month and a year, for to slay the 3rd part of men. And the number of the army of the horsemen were 200,000. And I heard the number of them. And thus I saw the horses in the vision, and them that sat on them having breastplates of fire, jacinth, and brimstone. And the heads of the horses were as the heads of lions. And out of their mouths issued fire and smoke and brimstone. But these 3 were the 3rd part of men killed, by fire and by the smoke, and by the brimstone, which issued out of their mouths. For their power is in their mouth, and in their tails. For the tails were like unto serpents, and had heads, and with them they do hurt. And the rest of the men which were not killed by these plagues, yet repented not of the works of their hands, that they should not worship devils, or idols of gold and silver and brass and stone and of wood, which neither can see,